Hi, my name is Lynette Ramirez. I am from La Junta, and I am I'm up here to talk about human rights and the restriction of rights and the informed consent. There hasn't been much talk about that. My background gives me some expertise behind that. I come today to advocate not only for myself, but for my family and fellow community members about these mandates that are pressing against us. It's important to talk about a person's right, and especially the right of restricting their rights. According to the Colorado Medical Treatment Decision Act, which is CRS 1518.5, 101, and 102, and I provided a copy to you guys that outlines that. This is a cornerstone. This document provides a cornerstone of a discussion that most of us have with our doctors when we go to have treatment or consent to have treatment. It's important to explain the rights a person has and what that entails. The statute states that Colorado law has traditionally recognized the right of a competent adult to accept or reject medical or surgical treatment affecting his person. Even at that, many disability laws gives an incompetent person the right to refuse and protects them from being forced to do treatments they are not willing to do.
That's right.
I also provided a copy of international human rights recommendations mentioned during the pandemic in March of 2020. In that document, the word that they use is voluntary, and a strong stance on not cohesive not to use cohesive measurements. It means a person has a right to make a decision and has a right to decide to participate of their own free will in any decision like taking a vaccine, voluntarily isolating themselves. The current Otero County Health Department has been implementing measures that violates many of the human rights advice that says that you cannot do that and we have freedom of choice. As a professional, it's my job to provide the risk and benefits of any choice in treatment and decision. And then I'm to provide resources to that person so that it would help them make that decision. It's ultimately their decision, and I'm supposed to provide it in a way that's unbiased and without coercing them. In healthcare and the Behavioral Health Code of Ethics, it's called autonomy. This means to allow each person the freedom to choose their own destiny. Otherwise, if I stop them and force them to make another decision against their beliefs, it becomes a rights restriction. It restricts their right to accept or reject a medical treatment. My faith teaches me the first action is for prayer, and prayer for healing, and then guidance from God to include medical decisions or any other decision that seeks absolute truth from a biblical and moral stance. My personal belief is that any person that is competent has a right to make a decision on information provided and has a right to accept or reject without coercion and experiencing discrimination. I urge the commissioners to protect these rights outlined by state law, federal and international law, by removing the power of the Otero County Health Department and stop coercing people to do something against their right and their right to decide their destiny and current and future medical decisions. These are God-given and constitutionally protected rights that are recognized by international human rights organizations. Thank you.
Thank you.